Hello and welcome back to the Dialog podcast. I'm your host, Liz Nix, and today my guest is Shaundai Person, Senior Engineer at Netflix. Shaundai, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Liz. It's great to be here.
It's really great to have you. I've been looking forward to this for a while, and I'm a little nervous because you're kind of a celebrity, but I'll try to keep my fangirling to a minimum so that this stays professional and useful for everyone who may watch.
That is great. Thank you for that. I'm really excited. I know that we've had some really great interactions on Twitter, and I was excited for this conversation as well. So the feeling is mutual.
Oh, awesome. So let's just get started by if you could share your origin story and how you got into tech.
Yeah. So I have there's a long story, a long version of the story, and I'll make it a medium version of the story. But I'm a career switcher, so I spent the majority of my career in sales. Part of that was tech sales, and I think back to little glimpses across different parts of my life, like different sales jobs that I've had and things that I've been interested in even before I was in the working world. And I can see, like, hindsight is 2020. So I can see like areas where I should have known that engineering would have been the path that I got down. But at the time when I was in sales, engineering seemed like something that was so far. And I got into sales because I had this passion for entrepreneurship and understanding businesses, what makes them grow, what makes them tick, and what these businesses offer to the world that brings value to folks. And I got really strong practice with sales because basically, as a salesperson, you're trying to provide value for people, and that's how you earn your money. That's how you make your commissions. So sales was a great venture into the world of entrepreneurship. I did have one of my first sales jobs was a job where I was working at a company called MathWorks, and they make software for they have a programming language. So one is for mathematical computation, and another one is for simulation of dynamic systems. And so it's basically anything that thinks. So MATLAB and Simulink are the tools that I was selling, and they're used in everything from like smartphones to advanced financial computations at big finance companies to rocket ships. So like my customers were like NASA and Blue Origin. And so the reason why one reason why I shied away from engineering so much is because I was like, you need to have these advanced degrees in like astrophysics or like, all these applied mathematical things that I was just not interested in. And so I was like, this probably isn't for me. But I was very fascinated with the ways that my customers were using the software, like I said, to build rocket ships or to build like these advanced models that could help you to predict like, big economic downturns or upturns and things like that. So I shied away from it, but again, my passion was for entrepreneurship, and there was one part of my life where I just quit the workforce altogether and decided to start a business. And what I thought was going to be the most fun about it was negotiating the deals because I had all this practice in sales. What I actually found the most fun was customizing my website. And I was building these little widgets because I wanted it to be my own website. And I had this idea for these things that I wanted to do. So I wanted to build tools for like marketing automation. And so like when a customer orders something, immediately I wanted an email to go out to them, or have like marketing emails that were dynamic and were catered to whatever that user like would tend to buy, like what was in their typical history of purchases, right? So I had so much fun customizing these sites and like learning to code. I wanted to build my own app too. So like React Native was a part of my life for a little bit. I think I started trying to learn like Swift or something by reading a book. But anyway, I I decided that I was having so much fun with it. I decided to teach myself to code, and I gave myself half an hour a day to do it because I was busy working a demanding sales job. And I also had my son around that time. So I had a newborn, I was a new parent. And so I didn't have that much time. And so I would budget half an hour a day to learn to code. I loved it so much that I would end up like up until 1 and 2 in the morning just getting lost in the code. And I was like, I was making great money in sales and in business, but I was like, I wonder if engineers make comparable money. Because at the time, what I thought was that sales was at the top of the food chain because your money is basically limitless. Like you can make as much commissions as you can sell. And so I looked at the engineering salaries and I was like, okay, this is pretty comparable. So I ended up deciding to make the switch at the end of 2020. And so yeah, the rest is history. So that's the medium version, believe it or not, of into, into tech.
That's incredible. That you made the switch, and it seems like it skyrocketed from there. And I think that being in sales but being adjacent to tech is really important, especially when you have sort of an interest, like a real genuine interest in what you're selling. That's amazing.
For sure. Yeah. I think because you touched on the fact that like there was the interest there, and and that my career kind of just like took off. I would say that the big reason why it took off was because I was finally doing something that I loved. Like for sales, my growth was steady, but it took a lot of emotional energy to get good at sales. One, just the nature of sales is like you're just getting beat up all the time. You're making cold calls. People don't really want to talk to you. So there's a big emotional toll on it, but also the work wasn't fulfilling to me. So I wouldn't like coding is my hobby as well as my job, which I feel very lucky to have that opportunity. But I would spend my time, like my career would grow fast because I would spend my spare time just doing it because it's something that was fun for me. And even still to this day, outside of work, I'm building projects. I actually spent all day today working on a little side project just for fun. And I speak at conferences because I love it. This is what fulfills me. And so I think that's one reason is that I'm able to put so much into it because I'm getting so much out of it. I'm feeling like fulfilled. So I know it's not the case for everybody. Like some people, and it's totally valid to be in it for the money. I wouldn't be here if engineers didn't get paid. Like it would remain a hobby, very much a hobby. But I am lucky, and I feel grateful every day that I get to get paid to do the thing that I love to do as well.
Mhm. Did you continue just being self-taught and learning on the job, or did you seek any kind of educational resources?
When I really decided that I wanted to take the learning seriously, I ended up using Codecademy, which is like a self-paced coding platform. And the reason why I did that instead of doing like a boot camp or going back to school was one, I had a newborn. So like there was no opportunity to just stop making my income and dedicate all of this time to time and money to a full-blown boot camp. And all of the boot camps were asking for like 9 months of your life and full on, it's basically like college on steroids pretty much. And I was like, I can't do that. So that was a big reason, was I just didn't have the time. I didn't have and I didn't feel like it was worth it to kind of take the chance, spend like $15,000 just to take a chance that I might get a job in engineering. I wasn't completely sold on that. And Codecademy, it was very low entry. It was like $150 or something for 6 months. And I was learning all the stuff, and I was able to do my demanding sales job and be a good mom at the same time. So yeah, I never went to official boot camp or any school or anything like that. It's also like a good, it's a way that I like to learn, is the self-paced way. Like I like to I I like both. Like I did I spent what, 6 years total in university between my undergrad and my master's. So I, maybe a little bit more than that actually, but either way, like I learn best either way. Like I can it's not really about the learning style, but I found that for the time period in my life, self-paced was the best way for me to learn. So yeah.
That that makes a lot of sense. And I think that it's important to note that it's something that is ongoing. I'm sure you've realized, like you never, in this career, you don't get to say, okay, I'm done learning and now I'm doing. You're constantly doing both. And so having that ability and that experience and that previous success, especially with a newborn, because I've been there too, of having that self-paced learning and keeping your skills fresh is something that is going to serve you well, like for many years to come.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Like I'm learning every day, learning and exploring. And that's like one piece of advice that I give to folks. Like you'll never know everything, like and I feel like a lot of conversations that I have with people that are trying to get into the tech space, they're like, how much React do I need to know before I can apply for a job? How much JavaScript do I need to know? And I'm like, you're never going to know all of it. You're going to like, you'll know enough that you feel like you can Google efficiently. And then once you get to that point, you should, you should start applying right from the very beginning, but just accept that you're never going to know all of it. It's just, every day is just going to be learning.
Yeah. I think I've heard it put best that it's a long road and it has no end.
That's right.
But so it's up to you to make it fun along the way, really. Unlike you, I think I would caution anybody who is just in it for the money, because it's such a grind if you don't have at least a little bit of love for it. And you got to be in the right place too, because you might have that love and passion and interest and end up in a situation that is so much of a grind that it knocks it out of you. I've heard of that from some people too. So it sounds like you ended up in a place that is supportive and inspiring, and you're continued doing to have that like joy in the journey.
Yeah, right. And so I think back to my time in sales, right? It was like, that was a grind, and I didn't love it at all. In the beginning I was kind of excited about it, but I guess when I talk to people who are just in it for the money, because I feel like sales was something that I could say that I was in it for the money, and definitely not about the passion. I can see why you're doing it, but like you said, it's a grind every day, and it feels like more of a grind when you don't love it. But then at the same time, you've got a family to feed, so it's like,
Right.
I understand both sides of it. So yeah, like not
Oh,
hard.
for sure. I'm not against anybody getting that money, but I would say if somebody was just like at that point of making a career decision and maybe didn't have a family yet, like somebody who is in university or even in high school, and they're like, is this a great way to get rich? Well, no, it's just flat out not. But if you love it, you can make a living,
For sure. Yep, for sure.
So what are you working on now that really excites you?
A lot of stuff. And like I said, I'm lucky that everything everything here excites me. One project that I'm working on that I'm getting started with in the next couple months at work is a project where we kind of not kind of, so my team at work at Netflix is an internal tooling team. So we build the tools that my specific team is called the productivity team. So basically, our overall mission is to reduce friction for other engineers at Netflix in their day-to-day dev activities. So we build tools that help them to understand the one thing that I'm working on right now is a tool that helps to manage the life cycle of a piece of software or a repo at Netflix, and it handles all the ugly stuff. So there's a lot of things. As a front end engineer who likes to do the feature work, I'm I don't I don't like to look at all of the ins and outs of like builds, PRs, pipeline, things like that. I couldn't care. Like, I just want it to work. And there's a lot of engineers. I mean, I would say the typical engineer just wants things to work. Like, you never want to come in and then things are just, broken. So we do our best to help to reduce the amount of like brokenness by monitoring things, but then also give engineers in one central place the ability to see like where things are breaking, or help you to maintain the hygiene of your repo and stuff like that. Like all of the stuff that you don't, we want to make it as easy for you, the stuff that you don't really want to have to do, so that you can just go off and be productive. So in a couple of months, I'll be working on revamping the face of it to make it more valuable to users, because what we've done for this tool is there are different teams that have built different functionality that feed into the tool that we build. And we've been working for the past couple of years to kind of combine it together so that people don't have to go all over to these disparate tools to get to do the things that they want to do. But one issue is that we've kind of just like put it together as like a Franken app. And I say that it's not an ugly app by any means. It's a really beautiful app, but there's an opportunity to build more of a story, like a journey between things. Like if you push a PR, and then you can monitor the builds, the health, and then you can and it takes you on the whole journey of every step of that after you merge a PR, after you push a PR to like when you merge. And if you can monitor all of that in one place and you have that as one journey, there's an opportunity to make that more of like a seamless journey versus this fragmented thing, which is what we have now. So long story long, building the interface that kind of like makes it more seamless. So really excited about that, because it's a huge value to our customers, again, the other Netflix engineers. So this is our highest priority on our team for for the next year at least. So that's one reason. Also because I'm my own customer as a Netflix engineer. So having this functionality available to me is very exciting to be able to like improve my own life, my own experience as a developer at Netflix. So that's great. And then also the fact that I'm kind of leading the project gives me the opportunity to flex my skills in both like all the stuff that I talked about with business value and all the things that I get excited about, and why I have still this passion for entrepreneurship is like what makes businesses tick. Like there's different parts to a business. There's the engineering parts, there's the sales parts, there's the marketing parts, and I like to understand how all that comes together and provides value for the customer. So this is my opportunity to combine all of the interest in like, this is how we're making our customers' lives better, to the technology and my passion for technology. So it's exciting on so many different levels. And being able to lead it, I also get to figure out like what resources are needed, help everybody, all the stakeholders understand like timelines, and we need to do this first so that we don't block people here from doing this part. And you're just kind of like like it's like an orchestra, and I'm this composer that's putting everything together while also like getting to code as well. So it's exciting on a lot of levels. I'm really excited to start it.
So much of that, like, just it sparked so many ideas for me. I really like that you went with orchestra and you're like a conductor, because
Mhm.
at first I thought you were going to say air traffic controller, which is it also applies,
Mhm.
but orchestra is just such a more beautiful metaphor. So I'm glad you did that one. And also, I really think it's cool that your colleagues are your customer, like your
Mhm.
primary customer. I've in my job, we're a very small engineering team within a larger marketing department, and in the past, I've had engineering managers come in and really want. They've set up barriers to keep the marketing people out of the website because they really wanted control.
Mhm.
They wanted to, and it was kind of, it's a young marketing team. So this person had a lot of experience with like A/B testing and conversion optimization. And so they really kind of made a wall around what that is the end result of the website. And then our, their managers above them within the marketing department, there was a lot of friction because they couldn't, get in and change a banner for a promotion or what have you. And so now we're in a space of refactoring everything to give those people the tools that they need because, the people who are in marketing, they have that's their domain is
Right.
figuring out what to serve to the people. And it's like my job ideally would have them be my customers, right? So I'm building for them so that they have the tools that like they can decide what the imagery is, and what I have built in the background makes sure that it's performant and accessible and stuff like that. And they do the creating. So I think
Oh,
that is that's the ideal situation, honestly, to have a smaller group of people that you understand intimately,
mhm.
and because you work with them, and then you can get feedback really fast. And especially with what you said about like you're building a tool that benefits you as a developer, so having that like kind of built-in dog food aspect
Mhm.
of it, I think is really cool.
100%. Yeah, I that is one of my favorite things about my team is that I have this unique opportunity to just like Slack message somebody and be like, "How's it working for you?" Or, just being in my own shoes, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't use things like this, so I'm gonna tweak it, or maybe I can abstract this one aspect of what we do so that nobody has to deal with it because people don't want to have to deal with it. Like we can form opinions that um make sure that engineers have less things to think about. So it's really cool. I love that. And I I know that it's not always the case where you're able to build and be your customer, but I would say that it can only make you a better engineer the more that you get to know your customer and the more that you're able to put yourself in their shoes. So getting that like tight feedback loop with people, like even if you're able to sit in on some of the meetings that your sales team has with your potential customers or your marketing like your marketing team, and sit down with them and figure out how they're segmenting the market, how they look at the different personas that your folks have and what they're saying about your tool, and sit in on times where because they're looking to see how people are using their tool and using your tool and how it fits in with the overall market, and how, like where it stands out, where it provides more value and where it's probably weaker compared to your competitors. It's great for you to have those insights because if you're an advanced team, you or like a bigger team, you might have a PM and a designer who are thinking of these things too. But even still, there are still so many decisions that you need to make in between the lines to make it a successful tool. Like they can write up all these docs and stuff and say, okay, this is the vision that we want to get to. But you should be not only like filling in the gaps because there's different edge cases that you're going to see as an engineer, different ways that people are going to bang on the tool that marketing just didn't expect,
Mhm.
and things that you need to account for. And then also you should be pushing back on them and saying, okay, yeah, like because things will tend to get lost in translation. It's like a game of telephone. And when I was in sales, I would see this a lot, which is one reason why I love having, I guess, the power that I have now by being an engineer, is that I actually get to build the tool and have the say in what goes into it. There's this big game of telephone. So as a salesperson, right, you are the face of the company. Like, you are the first line of contact for the folks external to the company, to your customers, right? They're giving you feedback in real time by way of either like telling you, no, that I'm not going to buy your tool because it doesn't provide enough value, or it doesn't provide the value that I need in the way that I need it, or they're buying because you are serving a need that they can't find elsewhere and they feel like they get a good ROI. You're getting that real-time feedback. So you're taking that feedback, the good and the bad, and you're bringing it back to your sales manager, who brings it to maybe they'll bring it straight to the product team. So that might go to the, if it doesn't go, or it might go to customer success, then it goes to the product team, goes to a product manager, who sends it over to the designer, who sends it over to the engineering manager, who sends it to the engineers. And they just put it on the backlog because, and it's gotten so washed, like all of the information has gotten so watered down and washed out by the time that it gets to the engineer, that they're like, in a silo. If they're not talking to the customer, they're making decisions on, okay, this is a P0, this is a P1, this is the thing that we're going to actively work on for whatever reason. And they're making those decisions without actually having talked to the customer or heard that firsthand from their customers. So they're like, again, it leads to so many situations where the engineering team is building things that they're like, okay, well, this is the big thing. This is our big priority. And never actually validating that with the people who are using the tool. And you put all this time and all these resources into things that your customer may never use, and then overlook the things that your customer has been asking for over and over and over again. So this is what leads to, companies losing money, losing revenue, losing sales. And then eventually, it gets to the point where this is where like layoffs happen and, bad or hiring freezes and stuff. So I say it's critically important to make sure that you're actively getting feedback and getting informed by your customers. Have an ear to the marketplace, like listen out on like Twitter and like look up what people are saying about your tool. Look up your competitors and look up what people are saying about your competitors too, and push back on your designers, push back on your project managers. Or if you are in a smaller company where you get to have more influence, you should be talking about this with your engineering manager and making sure that your other teammates are in tune with what your customers are saying as well. So yeah, that's something that I'm like, that's a hill I'll die on. Like that's something so important. So important is to be getting feedback from your customers.
I think that's amazing advice. And I actually, being on a smaller team, and one of my best friends at work is the customer success manager, right? So I have that like really close connection. So it's something that I personally can take and implement right away, and something that I would probably you would have probably heard me say something similar, at least in theory or principle, as far as being user first design, user centric. Engineering is something that I definitely believe in, but I don't think I've heard it put like in such an actionable way as you just did. So I think that's really helpful, and I thank you for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So going broader, because you touched on like layoffs, which we're seeing a lot of lately. I think that's kind of still one of the biggest ripples, at least that I'm feeling with the industry as a whole. But from your perspective, how are you seeing like the bigger industry right now?
I'm seeing the same thing as you. It's sad, and it's really tough for folks who are trying to get jobs. And I get asked a lot for advice on how to get a job, and I give advice on how to get a job in tech. It's tough for me because I'm not like I don't like giving advice, because I'm like, everybody's My answer is always it depends, and I guess that just shows my engineering background. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you do. I don't know how you do it. I know how. I can tell you how I did it, but I can also tell you that my story is not going to be your story. Your story
Mhm.
is not going to be anybody else's story. So, I know there's a lot of nuance, and I hate giving just generic advice because like situations don't fit. But I did get into engineering after uh the pandemic started. It was 2020 when I got my first job, and I used my sales skills to get into it. Um I don't think that it's impossible. I recognize that it's really hard. It's just a really hard time for folks right now. And folks are getting laid off, and it has nothing to do with their skills. Um and it's just the market. It just sucks right now. Um, but my advice though, I guess if I can give some sweeping advice, is that your your soft skills, like don't disregard your soft skills. Like your soft skills will make you stand out in a sea of other resumes and other like highly technical folks with competitors for the same role with like more or the same amount of experience. So I hate giving this advice too because I remember how hard it was, like when I'm staying up at 1 and 2 in the morning to learn. um that was fun for me, but not everybody can do that. And so like I feel like I had to go above and beyond in order to get where I wanted to be quickly. I I'm not advocating for burnout, but you in my opinion, you do have to like do go the extra mile in a lot of cases because the market is so poor. It's definitely not a market in favor of the job seeker. So
Mm.
I feel like you have to get creative in the ways that you stand out. So to kind of put that what I just said in a nutshell is like, yes, the market is bad. People are getting laid off. There's a lot of people on in the job market like looking for jobs right now. And if you're in the position right now where you're having to compete for these jobs or you're applying for these jobs, ways that you need to stand out are one, by really pushing on your soft skills and showing the value that you can provide a company, not just at a technical level. That is important, but it's not the only thing. Don't disregard your soft skills. And then two, you kind of have to go above and beyond. It's not like the standard, send your resume, slide your resume over and just like keep on spraying and praying, applying for jobs on LinkedIn. You really have to make connections, network with folks. Um, you might have to spend extra time learning or going to conferences and like doing the networking thing. There's a lot, and it sucks, but it's the reality of where we're at right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Think that do you think there's hope for the industry as a whole to recover and get to the place where there are enough jobs for everybody who's doing this?
I really do. So like, because as I don't, this is probably telling my age a little bit, but when I graduated undergrad, it was the recession. Like this was the
Mm.
beginning of the recession. And everybody was like, oh, there's no way nobody's ever going to find any jobs. And, too bad for you. This future that you were promised after your 4 years is just like, it's not there. Um, I hustled and I got creative and I found a way. And then, so this is like, I feel like this generation, and it's not unique to any other generation, but like, I feel like we've gone through crisis after crisis after crisis. And it goes down and then it goes up. And that's just the nature of the economy. I see things going up. And some indicators for me, like the market it'll figure itself out, but some indicators to me are like I watch the stock market, and I'm watching how things are starting to like level out not level out, but start to go back up, right? For big companies, I've noticed a lot of companies are hiring, like we're doing actively doing a lot more hiring at Netflix, and I'm seeing more stability. I know it's not the case at every company everywhere, but there's always going to be companies that are, coming into the market and then falling out of the market. But I'm really excited and bullish about AI. And I think that's going to create a lot of opportunities in the tech space because people just unnecessarily want to put AI in everything, which is great. Like, I feel like if you learn AI and language LLMs and stuff, you are going to have opportunities. There's going to be an abundance of opportunities out there for you. Standard front end and back end, like the pay and the market, like the market for them, I'm not seeing so many more jobs opening up, and I'm not seeing like a bunch of pay increases just yet, but I'm optimistic that that'll change. And then we as engineers are going to figure things out. Like maybe we need to take on more skills. Like maybe as front end engineers need to take on more, learning more AI stuff. Maybe as back end engineers also learning more AI stuff. I don't know, but I think same as always, we're going to have to adapt our skills to what the market is looking for. I think it's going to go like heavy AI. That's my take on it. But all in all, I do see things like hopefully just continuing to get better, at least more stable is, that's what I ask. Like just not down,
Yeah, that's awesome. That actually makes me feel pretty good because I'm in an AI and machine learning program right now. So, all right, that was a good choice. It's always nice to get some affirmation there when you make a leap like that. But yeah, and it's focused on business analytics. So, which is somewhere where historically in my career I've had a pretty sparse knowledge. Like 10 years ago I could install Google Analytics and monitor it okay, but
Right.
I've never been I've never been really into statistics or business numbers, metrics. I just want to create. Has always been kind of my mindset and my attitude, and that's like not going to cut it anymore. I don't think. I mean, maybe there's a space for that, but it doesn't. It'll no longer earn me a seat in the technocracy, right? Like that's just not going to be how things can progress. So yeah, it's like the next logical step, and I'm glad that that's that's something that I've chosen to sort of pivot to, and I hope that I hope that it's fruitful, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like that sounds awesome and it sounds exciting, but the combination of like understanding business and the metrics with like combining that with the technology, especially AI, I feel like is such a winning combo. Like you're going to learn so much that even if say you don't get a role called AI engineer for business analytics division at whatever company, right? Even
Right.
like it's those skills are going to come in handy so much so often. I feel like those are just great overall skills to have. So yeah, kudos to you. That's great.
Thank you. My hope for Reels is that because I've always had, and especially lately, a desire to try my hand at entrepreneurship, and I think I'd be great at developing a business, but I don't have like an idea. So
Yep.
I meet all kinds of people who are like, "Oh, you're an engineer? I have a great startup idea." And none of them sound great to me, but like, you don't want to kill people's dreams. So you're like, yeah, good luck with that. But for me, like I nothing. There's nothing like that. Like I know people who are coming up with new ideas every day. So I'm hoping that maybe this dovetails into something like that. Like maybe I'll have the skills to develop a SaaS that's really valuable to businesses who are wanting to integrate AI and machine learning into their, I mean, there's there's already plenty of competition in that space though. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's anything new I can bring at the end of my studies and when I'm ready to start to integrate and innovate off of there, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's amazing. Like the so when I was undergrad and my undergrad degree was like business management with a concentration in entrepreneurship. And so everybody was like, oh, when we graduate, we're going to have businesses and we're going to, do this and that. Like the vast majority didn't know what they wanted to do, like what kind of business they wanted to start. And then I also worked in this uh alumni organization. Well, it was an organization that was open to existing students as well as alumni, right? And spouses of alumni, like any alumni adjacent folks. And it's the I forget, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Institute, right? So it helped people to get businesses off the ground. You like I said, the vast majority of folks came out of that without an idea. So I say this, hopefully it's some comfort to you, is that most folks don't have an idea. Like they have all the skills, but like the idea, I feel like just comes to you when you're just doing your day-to-day things and you're like, oh, you know what could be better is this. And then you're like, you know what, that would be a great business idea if there was a company that did this. So it's like one of those things that just kind of like sparks. It never comes to you when you're thinking of things, or maybe you can ask AI to come up with some ideas for you. I don't know, but it never comes to you when you're just like sitting there with a pen and paper and you're just like listing out things.
Right.
So
Brainstorming 10 startup ideas.
right. That's not gonna work. Yeah, what you're going through is very, very normal. But I think that in the meantime, the fact that you're building up all these skills is great, and you'll have plenty of time to practice those before you go off and get into your actual entrepreneurial venture too, which is good.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. That is quite a comfort. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
So I think we touched on it a little, but what are you excited about for the future?
For the future in general, let's see. So aside from my work project, I am really excited about learning Java. And wait, so I should ask, are you talking about just excited about in the world or excited about in my life or both?
Both.
Either one.
Yeah,
Okay,
both,
okay, cool.
all, everything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, excited about for myself is learning Java. I started it as more of a way to communicate better with the backend folks because I'm front end. But I want to do more full stack and I want to be more like of a full service thing. Like I said, I love the code. So like finding new technologies and new things to tinker with, I'm really excited about. So started back up with the Code Academy and I'm learning Java little by little. I've also been talking with my manager about like, if I like this, then, what does this mean for me? And so we've been talking about like, do I eventually want to go full stack route or back end or what? So I'm really excited thinking about these kind of career pivot type of conversations. In general, I'm excited about AI. And I went to Microsoft Build in May, I think it was, in Washington. Uh, and I went as an attendee, which I think is the first conference that I've ever gone to as an attendee, which is kind of crazy. I went as an attendee and I took away I wasn't expecting to go in. I was going to because one of my friends who was speaking had asked me to come. And I went with kind of low expectations because one, we don't use a lot of the stuff that was shown, right? And it was like heavily AI. And we haven't really been talking much about AI at work up to that point. And then when I came back from the conference, one, I had so many new learnings about. So Scott Hanselman is the friend, right? And so we were just like walking to get some sandwiches. And then he was like, let me just break it. I'm big on analogies. So he's like, let me just break it down for you, like what an LLM is. And he just used this beautiful analogy of like how an LLM works with like sorting people and things like that. And I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. And I feel like I could apply this because it doesn't have to be like, what I was thinking AI has to be is this huge overhaul of our infrastructure and like, this grandiose idea where we're like, okay, great. Now we're going to have like, probably not as exaggerated as this, but like, we're going to have like some robot that's learning our, I don't know. Like, I just didn't feel like it was applicable. Like, we'll have to have some robot that's like translating everything for us and like turning our code into this, magical, whimsical thing that's learned from everything that's ever existed. And it really doesn't have to be like that. It can be like a small little addition to the stuff that you're already doing. And he showed me a little AI thing that he used to just clean up his desktop. And he's like, I'm just automating things, and that's AI. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is great. Like, AI doesn't have to be this huge overhaul. And then two, when I came back, we as a team just started talking about AI, and it was a natural conversation. We were talking about planning, and we kind of landed on this opportunity to learn more about our users and provide recommendations to our users about things that like they could do to, for example, like have better hygiene, like better code hygiene of their code base, right? For example, and like just train train our models for like recommendations of things. So there's just like little opportunities to use AI at work that I'm excited about. But then in general, I'm excited for the different applications of AI. Like I talked about before with my first job at MathWorks, it was amazing to me back then how many different ways you could apply a like the same thing to like a language to multiple things. Like you could apply it to building rocket ships, you could apply it to advanced financial computations, you could apply it to building cars, the same language. And to me, I just think of how many possibilities there are with AI, not chatbots, like it could be other things, and they can be bigger or smaller. So I'm excited to see what happens with AI for the greater good, and making life easier for our kids when they get our age. Um, so yeah, I don't, I'm super excited about that.
I really, really like that perspective. I think that it's interesting right now because there's some fear, some mistrust, and also some people who celebrate every failure of AI just because and I think that still comes from a place of like fear or a sense of injustice because it's been trained on like our efforts, and then it's making it effortless and perhaps replacing us. But I don't see that as a well, I see that as one perspective, but I prefer the perspective that it's a tool that we can incorporate to make our lives easier. And I hadn't thought about, I don't often think about what my children are going to do for work because I have no idea what types of jobs are going to be, in existence by the time they're ready to join the workforce. At least in that way. If I know my son really wants to be an engineer of some sort, but I don't know, like, I mean, I have no idea what's going to be available to him,
Right.
at that time. And I wonder, well, I guess there's fundamentals that are going to carry through.
Yeah,
But
like doctors and lawyers will probably still be there.
Maybe not lawyers.
Yeah,
I could see lawyers replaced with AI.
that'd be cool.
Like, no, we have your chat history. We know.
Right.
We know your landlord owes you exactly half of what you're paying for.
Right. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think like because I software engineer and web developer, for example, when I was a kid, that was not a thing, it was probably
Mhm.
called like hacker or something. And it's not like a job you would get.
Programmer, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and technology has changed so much over the past like 20 years. We were using CDs and yeah, like things were so different. And I can only imagine what kind of world they'll inherit. Hopefully it'll be better than the one now. And hopefully it just like keeps on getting better. But no idea what type of opportunities will be available to them.
Yeah. I think it's cool that, I mean, like, so prompt engineer has come out like in the last year, I want to say.
Mhm.
So that's an interesting indicator of where things are going.
I think so. Yeah. I feel like, and it's hard for me to speculate because I'm not I don't know. I don't know, and I don't know enough about AI for it, but I do think that things will start to get even, more segmented, like you said, like prompt engineer, and like there'll be, because there's so many different components to AI, so there's just gonna like it naturally is gonna get to the level where you can learn so much. It's like a full-time job just to manage this one piece of the AI tool that you build, or the AI functionality that your team is building. So I see probably more of that, like AI is its own thing and just different segmented roles within AI. It probably already exists. I just don't know enough about that market yet, or that like part of tech to be able to speak about it intelligently.
I don't either, but I think that we will, like,
So,
all
yeah.
we both, all of us. Yeah, I think it's going to become apparent. I just the same way that um I mean, when I started at my current job, my title was web developer, right?
Mm,
And now we have front end and back end and full stack and senior and junior, and um
yep.
then we are the engineering department, and
Right.
so it's things evolved even in the past 6 years in that way. And so I think you're right that we'll see that with AI and machine learning. And yeah, it'll
Definitely.
be,
Hmm. For
and
sure.
then that loops back around to earlier. There's going to be jobs for everyone. Like, what, you'll be able to find your niche, and a place where your unique skills and interests can take you into, making a good living,
Mhm.
which is what everybody deserves.
Agreed. Agreed. Yep. I hope that's the case, because I don't see, this might not age well. I just don't see AI replacing all of us. I feel like our jobs are going to shift, and they're always going to shift. Like that's inevitable. Even if AI was never a thing, like things are going to continue to evolve. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like it's going to create more opportunities, or different opportunities for us in the future.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And just the way, like, every industrial innovation has changed the way work looks for people. This fear every time it comes up, it's it's, what do I want to say? It's completely natural, right?
Right.
There's, like, people were afraid computers would take their job, but they kind of just did the crappy parts for you. And so,
Right.
but then there's this inherent new, you know, parts of your job that nobody wants to do, right? Like
Mhm.
like the tools that you're building internally are taking over that part. And so hopefully we just continue to see that trend grow.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, like I was thinking about assembly lines, right? And y- I I I wasn't there, but like people were afraid that assembly lines were taking away from people's jobs, because like, people were making things by hand and crafting things on their own. It's not as efficient. yes, we got more efficient, but like it kind of scaffolded a whole new level of jobs where now you have like machine operators and inspection people at the end. Like there's I don't see humanness getting out of anything that we do, because like everything that we do is for humans. So there's humans are going to have to be part of all the things at some point. It's you can never remove humans out of everything completely. So I just you just it's just something that you have to watch, is like figuring out how that's going to evolve and what kind of jobs it's going to open up. But uh, jobs won't jobs won't be removed for everything.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. And I think the promise of AI is it takes information of everything that's currently like in practice,
Mhm,
and then it improves on that.
mhm.
But in order to make improvements, you have to know what better is. And if humans aren't around to say what better is, like AI is not going to know on its own, like what's better
Right.
for it.
R right, exactly,
More
exactly.
more computing power, well then I guess that helps but like to what end? You always have to be there to like, give those parameters of what is the goal, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Because without that, then there's nothing to move toward.
Exactly, exactly. No, you put it really well. Totally agree with that.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you and this conversation and inspiring me to have that thought. So I Ah, well, I'm out of questions, but this has been a thoroughly engaging and inspiring conversation. So if there's anything else you'd like to leave us with or anything you want to plug?
Mhm. Yeah, sure. If you're looking for me, I'm pretty active on Twitter most of the time, but you can find me Twitter at Shaundai. So I'll spell it Shaundai. Find me at Shaundai on Twitter. I'm also on TikTok now, but it's Shaundai P, first letter of my last name. And if you are looking to learn to use TypeScript for the enterprise, I'm building a course that's starting out as a workshop that will come out this fall is what I'm hoping for. But you can follow along for updates at ts4js.com. That's tsforjs.com. And that's it.
Amazing. Oh,
Mm,
I'm so excited. I will definitely check that out because I'm late to the party on TypeScript and yeah,
Get in there.
definitely.
Let's get you in
Awesome.
there.
All right. Thank you again so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.